Today, we're jumping into one of the most powerful tools in all of medicine. And no, it's not some fancy new drug or a surgical laser, it's something way more fundamental: communication. We're going to break down how the right words delivered in just the right way can literally save lives and transform the health of an entire community.
So let's kick things off with the big central challenge. I mean, it's one thing to know that, say, washing your hands is important, but it is a whole other ballgame to get millions of people to actually do it and do it consistently. So how do you close that gap between what people know and what they do? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to solve today.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what health communication even is. Then, we're going to pop the hood on the communication engine to see how it works. We'll look at different strategies, draw a really important line between genuine education and propaganda, and then we'll open up the actual toolkit that health educators use out in the field.
All right, first things first. What exactly is health communication? Well, you can think of it as the bedrock of any good preventative healthcare system. It's the whole process of sharing health information in a way that truly influences and empowers people to make smarter decisions for themselves and their communities. And its job is so much bigger than just, throwing facts at people. Beyond simply informing and educating, good health communication has to actually motivate people to take that next step. It has to persuade them that change is worth it. And sometimes it even has to provide counseling and support to keep a community's spirits up.
So, how does this all actually work? We can think of the whole communication process like a simple but really powerful engine. It's got a few key parts, and they all have to work together perfectly to get that message where it needs to go.
Okay, this slide lays out that engine perfectly. You've got your sender, the message, the channel it travels through, and finally, the receiver. But the secret ingredient, the oil that keeps this whole thing running smoothly, is that all important? Feedback loop. Let's break down each piece. First up, the sender. This could be a doctor, a health organization, a community worker, whoever is starting the conversation. But to be any good at it, they can't just be shouting into the wind, right? They need to know exactly what they're trying to achieve, who they're talking to, and, just as important, they need to be honest about their own limits. Next is the message itself. And listen, this is way more than just raw data. A good health message, sure, it has to be accurate, but it also has to be meaningful to the people hearing it. Is it interesting? Does it actually respect their culture and their values? If the answer is no, then it's not a message. It's just noise. The channel. Think of this as the physical bridge that carries the message from the sender to the receiver. This could be a face-to-face chat, that's interpersonal. It could be a TV ad or a radio jingle, that's mass media. Or it could even be something like a local theater performance or a song, using traditional folk media to get the point across. And then we get to the receiver, aka the audience. And honestly, they're the whole point of this entire thing. This could be a single patient in a doctor's office, a small group in a village meeting, or a massive anonymous audience watching a PSA. Understanding them is everything. It's what makes or breaks the entire effort. And finally, we have feedback. This is the game changer. This is what turns a one-way lecture into a two-way conversation. It's the reaction from the audience, their questions, their actions, or even just their confused looks. That feedback is gold, because it lets the sender tweak the message and make it even better. Okay, so you know the parts of the engine, but how you drive it? Well, that's a huge strategic decision. And it brings us to a major fork in the road. Is your communication going to be a one-way street or a two-way street? On one side, you have the one-way or didactic method. This is your classic lecture. Knowledge comes down from on high, and the audience's job is just to absorb it. But on the other side, you have the two-way, Socratic method. And this is a dialogue, a real conversation where everyone participates in finding the answer. And you know what? When your goal is to actually change behavior, the results are in. Two-way communication wins, hands down. Why? Because it's an active process. It's democratic. It treats people like partners in their own health, and people are way more likely to buy into a change they feel they had a hand in creating. And that idea, that deep commitment to a two-way conversation, brings us right to the very heart of the mission: health education. This isn't just about sharing info, it's about a philosophy that draws a really sharp ethical line between educating someone and just manipulating them. Just look at this definition. I mean, the wording here is so powerful. It's not about making people do things. It's a process that encourages people to want to be healthy, that gives them the knowledge of how to stay healthy, and empowers them to do what they can. It's all about building self-reliance, not creating dependence. And this is where we have to draw a really clear, bright line in the sand. See, health education appeals to our reason. It builds us up to be self-reliant. Propaganda, on the other hand, plays on our emotions and depends on us just passively accepting what we're told. One empowers, the other controls. It's a huge difference. So, with that empowering mission locked in, let's open up the toolkit. What are the actual on-the-ground methods and strategies that health educators use to make all these principles a reality? At a high level, you can pretty much sort all the methods into three main buckets. You've got your individual approaches, like a one-on-one talk with a doctor. You've got group approaches, like community workshops. And then you have the mass approaches, using things like TV or posters to reach tons of people at once. To really see how this works in the real world, let's just zoom in on one of the most powerful and popular strategies out there, the group approach. A fantastic tool in the group approach is the demonstration. It just works because it follows how we naturally learn. First, you get people interested. Then you persuade them by actually showing them how it works. And finally, you lock in that learning by letting them try it themselves. It all comes down to that old saying, seeing is believing. But you know what? Doing is learning. And even the shape of the group itself is critical. I mean, look at the difference here. On the left, a good discussion looks like a web. Everyone's connected, everyone's contributing. But on the right, you've got a discussion dominated by one person. It's just a star. Real health education is always aiming to build that web. And really, when you boil it all down, it comes back to this incredible foundational idea, stated so powerfully all the way back in 1978. Health isn't something that's done to people. It's something people have a right and even a duty to participate in for themselves. And effective communication, that's the tool that makes it all possible. So, I want to leave you with a little challenge. The next time you see a public health campaign, a poster on a bus, a TV ad, an Instagram post, try to take it apart. Ask yourself, who's the sender? What's the real message here? What channel are they using? And what are they hoping that I'll do in return? Because once you see the engine, I promise you'll never look at a health ad the same way again.